everybody, Mike Burkholder, Contra Costa today. I'm here with Tirrell Muhammad, one of my favorite people in the whole wide world right now. He is a fellow Rotarian, and this guy, he's one of the most positive people you will ever meet. I've never met anybody that's always so happy, and this is no joke. The first time that I met you, I literally thought you were high or on drugs.
I feel like I'm high now, but
I mean, I don't understand how you could be so positive all the time, and your laugh, your attitude, your way of life is so contagious. It is just a wonderful thing. So for everyone out there, I just wanted to bring him on because it's been kind of negative lately out there, and I think people need to learn a little bit about how to be positive. And,
oh man, talk to me. Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks for having me today. I love to be here on your show today, and I'm like real giddy to actually be here, man. It's awesome. I don't think of myself as positiveness, although I do get that a lot in both my personal and business life, but it's just a way of life that I adapted to at an early age.
Sure. And so before we get into the positivity, let's set the stage here real quick.
Sure.
You are a local realtor. You grew up in San Francisco. You went to San Jose State.
Yep.
And then you actually ended up going to university in Paris, correct?
Yep, that is correct. So I actually got into the real estate industry in 1996. I'm currently the VP of Business Development for a team at Keller Williams Realty, in which my wife actually managed the team, and I assist her in that capacity. Mainly just making sure that we add value to the lives of others. That is really our way of how we do business.
Sure. And so real quick, in 2008, were you always positive?
2008,
when the market crashed?
yeah. In fact, 2008 was a pretty great year for us in the business world. It actually allowed me to do a few things, as well as become chair of a minor league football team. So things were really on fire back then. Yeah.
See, and that's what I love about you is even like when the whole economy is crashing, you find the positive and you go towards an opportunity rather than dwell on it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of being positive is kind of a mindset. So going back to just your life in general, how did you get that little mindset to switch from being negative to finding positivity?
My mind shift shifted likely in high school. You know, I grew up in a really distressed area in San Francisco, playing football and, you know, just in a really bad environment. But I also learned very on that I had the ability to shift my perspective on the way that I looked in things just really straight out of high school. So once I entered into San Jose State, I really felt like the limits were boundless in terms of where I can go, which is why I decided to go to Paris and study abroad and really get a broader perspective of how people think, how the environment was. And that really was the start of a new beginning for me because, again, I grew up in the projects. So being at a university, seeing the world I was already winning. So looking back from it now, I already won.
Did you see a lot of bad things in the projects?
Oh yeah. I mean, shooting was weekly basis, but there was also a family environment where people watched out for each other. So, you know, it was really, really bad, but it was also really, really good. So that just allowed me to really have the ability to shift my perspective on things.
So was there any like particular moment in your life that, hey, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be, you know, project. My life doesn't have to be in the projects. was there like a moment where you said, I'm better than this and I'm going to go work towards it and set a goal?
Yeah. Well, that was probably at San Jose State. At San Jose State, I realized that I had the ability to really shift my gifts into, I didn't feel like I was better than everybody, but I knew that I had talents to do things that others who came from a better environment than I was, that I can compete on a really, really high level. So that alone allowed me to say, you know what, I can get almost anything that I want. And a lot of goals that I had early on, I was able to achieve. So for example, when I first got into the real estate industry in 1996, I became the local president of the local trade association within just a few years. So that was just a mental shift that I can actually achieve at such an early age. And so by 30, I was really on to a whole nother setting of how I wanted to design my life. And then I figured out, you can actually architect your life the way that you want it to be.
And so how do you do that? How do you do that?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So I started asking myself how I wanted to live my life. I didn't want, when I started working in the real estate industry, I would come into the office and I would always see the broker there, and I would say, "Hey, Mr. Wheeler, how are you today?" And he would be like, "Oh, life is terrible." I was like, wow, this is an absolute, life cannot be like this. And for a whole year, I hated it. And I knew that I didn't want to live like that. And I started to surround myself with positive people. So I made a few changes with friends and everything else. So architecting our days it's how do we get the best out of our day? And sometimes that includes going into a new city. Sometimes that includes going into new places that we haven't been to, that gives us a natural high of newness.
So did you get out of your comfort zone? Did you kind of hang around people you thought were kind of maybe weird, but the more you hang out with them, it was kind of wow, they're really positive. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually living in a state of uncomfortability, it becomes a way of life. So it's like, even nowadays, there are places that I may not feel comfortable going into.
Like what?
There's been meetings that I knew nobody in the meeting, but I would naturally make myself go into places of environment or networking events or invites that I may have known people, but I have to adapt and get to know.
So you kind of took the whole embrace newness, embrace a challenge, and kind of put it in the mindset.
Yeah. I think we have to do that, because whatever we want in life, it's always going to be new to us in some form or fashion. It may not be comfortable on the onset, and you have to create a system of how to deal with new. How do you break things down? Because, one of the things that I learned over the years is everybody has a different personality. So everybody approaches things differently. You have the gorilla type of people, people that they just go after it. But you have people like me. I'm more of a turtle or a chameleon type of person, where some people think that I'm really socially active, but I'm not a natural social person. I'm really a turtle. I'm more of an introvert, but when I get into the settings, it's something about the environment that electrifies me, and then I turn on the switch if that makes sense. So now, then I become naturally adaptive to the environment. And that's how I think we as humans are, is we tend to adapt to our environment. And that goes back to negative environments too, because sometimes we're in an environment, whether it's our household or family settings or friends or family, that are negative in some form or fashion, but we don't look at it as a way of, hey, they're being negative. We just know that we feel a certain way that's not really making us feel good.
So does it go back to the whole, you are who you hang out with, you are who your environment is? I mean, can you imagine being a successful real estate agent if you were still living in the projects, just as an example?
Right. Well, you can't be successful being an agent or a professional or a business owner in anything that we do. If you have an environment of negativity, there is no way that you can be successful in any endeavors, whether if you are a sales professional and you're selling products or services in some form of fashion, you will not create the lifestyle that you want in being in a negative state of mind. So every morning I have a particular routine that I attempt to follow every day. Is it perfect? No, by far, but it helps me get into the state of mind that allows me to wake up, to make sure that I am leaning towards a positive energy throughout the day. So what
does that include?
That would include, so when I wake up, I pretty much just, I drink both hot and cold water to shock my blood, to get things moving for today. I start off with reading some type of positive or book that I may be reading. I re-examine the day that I'm going to be having for today and what I want to accomplish for today. And then I get a 20 to 30 minute workout in to really kind of get going. And that's before the day, or before I allow people to enter into my world. And that includes my wife or any calls or anything. I try to have my me moment before I try to get people into my particular space. And that's important to me. So that's why I get up a little early to make sure that the day really gets going.
So how early would you say is early? Because we all have different times and bodies, and what works for you?
So for me, 4:30 or 5 works good for me to get up in the morning, where I'm not looking too much at emails. I try to discipline myself sometimes, but it's hard with the smartphones and everything else. So I literally put the smartphone away until I'm ready to deal with texts or emails or anything of that fashion before the actual day starts. Because normally by 6:45, 7 o'clock, things are already happening in our industry and the business.
Sure. And so do you think this all comes back to, just even starting the mind shift? Does it just come back to as simple as assuming responsibility for your actions and taking the mindset that no one owes you anything? You are in control and you have the ability to make that change if you really want to.
Well, let's go a little further. So it's important for all of us to assess oneself, meaning that you know who you are as a person. You know what drives you, what inspires you as a individual. There is DISC assessments. There's animal assessments out there. There is personality tests out there. All of them are really good, but they center around knowing, in fact, who and what you are as a person, so that you know how to pull on your personal strings, what is natural to you, what inspires you. You know, are you the type of person that gets inspired around people, or are you the type of person that is an introvert, that kind of likes being to themselves, and then you kind of have to be around people, you know? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's knowing, in fact, who you are as a person to ignite who you are. And that's the absolute key first, because you may think you know yourself, but until you really assess who you are as a person, you won't know the direction that really, really helps you as a person to take you to the next level.
So how would you say that you developed or figured out your own self-awareness?
Well, I continue to assess myself on a consistent basis.
Yes, I think it changes every month, week, day. I mean, kind of.
Absolutely.
It's never a permanent thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what your natural state is as a person, but sometimes environments, sometimes projects, sometimes limited time frames will pull you in a different direction to make you become a gorilla. It's like if we have a project that's due in 90 days, we may have to go gorilla for the next 90 days and make things happen to deal with a particular project, right? So,
what's with the animals? I mean, you called yourself a turtle. Now you're going to go a gorilla. I mean, are you have a thing with animals?
Well, the animal assessment breaks down human behavior into 4 categories. And so you have your gorilla, your chameleon, your turtle, and what's the 4th one? I forget what the 4th one is.
Cheetah?
Bear? I think it's like a chameleon. It's
Anyway, there's 4 animals.
Yeah, yeah. But anybody who wanted to get an idea of what that 4 animal assessment is to kind of get to know them, the animal assessment really, really breaks that down. And in fact, there is a company that actually does it. But E.T. the hip-hop preacher, actually.
So I just looked it up. It's a gorilla, flamingo, chameleon, and turtle.
yes. Now, in the gorilla, I obviously that type of person is the go-getter. He hates the detail. He or she hates the details of things. They are great starters, but they're bad finishers. The flamingo person got great ideas, but they lack the follow through on things. The chameleon is kind of a social person as well, but doesn't always follow through with the social aspects of things, the networking. And the turtle is the person who's more administrative type, more introvert, like the behind the scenes stuff, the accounting type of people.
Sure.
So you can go in either direction, because the environments will sometimes dictate the type of person that we need to be at that particular person, especially if you're a business owner, like many of us. Sometimes we have to be all 4 categories to be able to be successful.
Sure. And I'm going to kind of flip the switch a little bit and go in a different direction, because we are getting a little long on this, but I kind of want to share a story that you had told me a few months ago, and it was just kind of out of the blue and I think it really rings to your personality. A few years ago, you and your wife had a fire in an apartment or a house, and you escaped.
Yeah.
With your life.
Yeah.
And you were at the point where the floor was basically going to cave in. Flames were coming. I mean, did that impact you in a way where it could always be much worse than it really seems at this moment?
Absolutely. So I want to say that happened maybe 12, 13, 14 years ago, somewhere around there, where we were living in Hayward, in a condo unit that basically went into a fire. And the fire, erupted below our unit, and it immediately started to come through the seams of our unit. And so we had no idea kind of what was going on, but we smelled smoke. We kind of felt like things, we only had maybe 90 seconds to get out of the unit before things got worse. And so we immediately had to exit our place. We had to grab the important stuff. So we grabbed a few bags and grabbed our money. We had to leave everything. So within 45 minutes to an hour, that whole building was up in flames. And as a result of that, we had to go to Walgreens, get t-shirts, toupees. It was the loss of everything. And although we were in shock for the first couple hours, it was a beauty to be able to have one another, because had we been asleep, which we were resting at that time, it could have turned into a more devastating thing, and we could have had loss of life and things of that nature. So that was a reality check for us to embrace life and the present moment that we have. Because yes, we want things. Yes, we want to be successful, but the moment is really all we have. So it's like how people are distressed with community events or things that are going on in the community in some form or fashion.
Sure.
And sometimes I laugh because people want others to fix our problems when we're not even doing anything to contribute or add value to our lives, the lives of our family and friends, as well as the community in some form of fashion. So
was that why you became a Rotarian, to give back and really try and do projects and fundraise for community projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So service above self resonated, which is our mantra with Rotary, to be able to give back, to do things that we believe is our core principle of life. So the principle of Rotary is absolutely an objective that resonates with not only my life, but my family, and we have that core value in which we live by.
Sure. And then, I know positivity and finding the good in everything it's all a mindset. But is there any books that you suggest? Anything that you read? Anything you read that really you would recommend to other people that just can maybe help them start to see things a little differently?
Absolutely. So my favorite book of all time is Think Like a Winner by Dr. Clancy. It is a scientific read on positiveness. That is my go-to. My wife would say that I have destroyed that book because I've read it probably about 10 to 15 times, and I have notes everywhere in this particular book. I've read Think and Grow Rich. That is an absolute great read. It's an easier read than Think Like a Winner. But if you really are attempting to shift your mindset, Think Like a Winner is a book that focuses on our conscious mind versus our subconscious mind. So if you really want to know and see how you think, try journaling after you've had dreams. That is the biggest thing. That is the biggest way, a telltale sign of what we think and how we live our lifestyle. Because we may think we are positive, but try journaling your dream and what you think about in your subconscious mind. It is a true tale of who and what we are.
And I know we were kind of talking offline, but I know a big part of your life's also the Bible.
Yes. And the Bible is written in such a poetic way. You have to study it in the way that that impacts your life. And I've been studying the Bible for over 15, 17 years. I've never been a theocratic type of person, I wasn't brought up like that. My mom used to have us go to church at times, but she didn't press that on us. Her best rule of thumb was do unto others as you would want done unto yourself. And I've always been a very spiritual person to make sure. But yes, I absolutely integrate all of the books that help strive and keep me and us and my family on the right path, so that we can at least add value to those who we go in touch with in some form of fashion. Whether it's small, whether it's big, it's what value can we do right now. All of the other stuff is wish and we hope, but to add the most value and to be contemplative of where we are right now is to be right here, right now.
Definitely. And so for you, what about mentors? Because I know success is one thing. You are who you hang out with. If you want to be a good, contractor, don't hang out with a painter. If you want to be a good painter, don't hang out with a contractor.
Right.
That whole thing. But again, the mind shift from a mentorship standpoint, how vital is that to you?
Oh my gosh, it's critical. It's the blood in which I live by. So I've had great mentors along the way of my journey.
Who are some of your mentors?
Uncle of mine, Uncle John. I've had Uncle Marvin. Has just been absolutely amazing. Both of them are no longer here, but they were great mentors of mine in terms of staying out of trouble, staying out of riffraff, staying out of environments that is not conducive to where I had planned on going. I continue to build my team, council of people. I have great cousins that are there.
So you have that support system.
Yeah. It's a great support system that I create, and they may not know that they're my support system, but I use them as counsel to be able to help advise and really try and think out things, or if I need to bounce things off of. And then my wife, my wife is really an authentic type of person. She can't fake things. No. And for some people, that's easy for them, but she can't fake her personality. She's really authentic, and I thank God that I was able to meet somebody, 16 years ago who I'm still with today, that she keeps me grounded to being a positive or person that continues to add value to the lives of others. And that's really all I attempt to do, is really try and impact the person who's in front of me in some form of fashion. The old saying that my uncle used to say is if everybody do a little, nobody has to do a lot. And that goes for our communities. That goes for our cities. If everybody do a little, nobody has to do a lot. So being a part of Rotary, being a part of organizations, if we do things and shift our mindset in some form of fashion, we can make a huge, huge difference. It's not that we won't have problems. It's the way that we look at problems, the way we deal with it, the way that we shift our mindset to collectively add value.
How important is motivational speakers for you? Because I know a lot of times people just hop on YouTube because a lot of this stuff's now recorded. Speeches, great speeches, and it's kind of can change people's modes within seconds of just looking it up on YouTube. Do you ever find yourself doing that, or?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how important is that to you?
It's important. I delve into motivational speakers from time to time. I also realize that it's not the modus of operandi. So you use it as a way to kickstart things, but then you have to have a personal system to implement your things or activities that you need to do personally, I need to do personally to get us going in the right direction. So yeah, every day I'm probably listening to something that is positive, that is motivational in some form of fashion.
Like who? Like any examples of who you listen to?
Well, I mean, I've listened to probably all the greats, from Tony Robbins to Les Brown to E.T. the hip-hop preacher. And that's probably one of the main persons that really kickstarted me is E.T. the hip-hop preacher. You know, I truly engaged with him because he went from homeless to having a PhD to now becoming one of the great speakers in the industry. And so I utilize different people depending on what's going on, what I need to kind of kickstart my day to really get things moving in the right direction. But I also am very mindful and conscious of, okay, this is only the Kickstarter. I have to make sure that after the implementation, it rolls over into action items that I'm held accountable on a daily basis to my activities.
And I think you just kind of summed up the whole thing is you know, you could read a book, you could listen to great speeches online, you could, you know, have a conversation with somebody, but until you actually hold yourself accountable, make a list, create goals. Yeah, I never really believed in that stuff till my early 20s. And once you started writing something down, you're now accountable.
Yeah.
And so would you say, like, you know, as we wrap this up here, what are kind of your 3 best tips for changing a mindset?
So 3 best tips would be, 1 is to get clear with who and what you are. Because if you don't know who you are as a person, you're not sure what resources or tactics or tools that will help you as a person move forward. The second is after you've got clear with exactly what you want and who you are, you can be more specific with getting your goals and objectives, just laying out exactly what that is. And there's no dream that is too big. We did a vision board with some of my family members a few months ago. And I was shocked to see 8-year-olds and 12 years old giving themselves visions of being environmentalists and things of that nature. So being clear on exactly what that is a key element. And then lastly is, once you got your goals together, is 3, get you some accountability partners. And that's really your environment, right? Who's going to hold you accountable to what you say that you're going to do? I don't care what your goals are, but if you set your goals and I am your accountability partner, and you say that you're going to do X, Y, and Z by the next 30 days, and I hold you accountable, but then you get mad because I held you accountable to what you said that you were going to do, you can't get mad at that. You got to get clear with what you said that you're going to do, but have you some really steadfast accountability partners, whether they're mentors or friends, but someone who knows and who's going to push you to hold you accountable to what you say that you're going to do.
Absolutely. You have to execute, and that's the name of the game. Tirrell, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. I know we kind of went a little longer than we anticipated, but I think it's an important topic. It's really just something that's needed right now. It's with all the the things going on in the community, it's just rough right now. So hopefully this helps someone that could start shifting their mind. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge.
No, thank you guys. I mean, you guys are adding value in many ways that you can't put a monetary dollar on it right now, but the value of this and the work that you do in the community is so important. I thank you guys for everything that you do in the community and continue to do through local organizations and highlighting added value people and events that are going on. I wish we had more of it, and I hope to be a part of more of these type of activities and events to add value to our communities in some form or fashion.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for listening. Mike Burkholder, Contra Costa Today. Please like, subscribe, follow. We'll see you next time. Take care.
All right. Thanks for joining.